Welcome, everybody, to Casting for Two, the podcast, as always, hosted by me, Chris, yours truly. What's up, everybody? Welcome to welcome to episode number 339, almost to 340, and almost to the last episode of July 2019, the birthday month, the podcast, 6 years old. One more episode to go. I just want to thank all of you for the level of interaction throughout the month and liking the episodes from what I've heard so far. So I'm excited about that. Of course, however you're listening to this podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, or the website castingfor2.com, feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you like. I would super appreciate it. And to keep in contact with me, not in podcast form, Casting for Two at Instagram and Twitter is the best way to do that. Yeah, and wow, that was probably one of the smoothest openings I've done in a while. That was all from the top of my head. I don't know if you guys know that or not, or if you could feel that. But anyway, I should talk about my guest. My guest today is Gina Barrington, and she is in the band Rose of the West. She is a singer, lead singer, guitar player, and let me just tell you, their debut album, Rose of the West, is phenomenal, and I think you guys should all pick it up. Two copies. Give it to your friend, and your friend's like, I just bought this. I bought 2 copies. And then you just keep them. But Gina was so much fun to talk to, such a sweet person. And you know what? I got to stop talking because we got to get into this episode, all right? Sit back, relax, and Chris, cue the music, please.
So far, so good. Gloomy day here, but that's about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, moving to new place, or?
No, it's just gloomy here.
Oh, gloomy. Gotcha. Where are you at?
Yep. Milwaukee, actually.
Oh, okay. Nice. I have a buddy who lives in Madison.
Oh yeah, not too far.
Yeah, nice. It's because I'm in Texas right now, and it's not gloomy, but rain's coming soon.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of what's going on here also. But at least you're probably warm, right? I'm not warm.
God, see, I would gladly switch the warm with the cold. I don't like being warm.
Really?
Yeah.
I miss it. We only get summer here, like 3 or 4 months out of the year, and then the rest of the time it's freezing. But I'm in Texas. It gets quite hot, so I don't know that I'd be able to tolerate that all the time either.
Yeah, no, it's depending on where you are in Texas. I'm on the eastern side, so around Austin. I'm in San Antonio.
Yeah.
But you take a shower, you're ready to go take on the day, you step outside, and then humidity hits you, and it's just ugh.
Yeah.
And there's no running from it.
No, I can empathize with you on that one. It does get like that a little bit here sometimes, and I really don't like the humidity.
Yeah.
Heat is good. I like the desert air.
Mm.
That's kind of my jam, but yeah humidity.
Yeah, like a nice dry heat where it still gets cool at night.
Yes.
That's one of the things I miss. I'm from Oregon, where there's seasons there.
Yeah.
But one of the things I used to do, during the summer, I would just leave my window open just so that I could, either hear the rain or get a nice breeze. If I do that here, I'm just letting in the humidity, and it's not fun.
Oh, I hear you. Okay.
This podcast is all about weather, so if you... So, what music about weather do you have? No, I'm just kidding. But no, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I have no idea, honestly. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm very curious in when people find their particular skill. For you, when was the moment like, A, you caught the music bug, and B, you wanted to pursue it?
I had always loved music so much, but I didn't actually think I could. I mean, I grew up in a musical household. My grandfather was an orchestra director, and so I was meant to play things the correct way and to do things the way,
Yeah.
And I didn't and couldn't follow that path exactly, so I just didn't do much with it because I think I was disappointing my grandfather in particular. But I did learn a lot, and so later on in life, like being a teenager and then into my 20s, I was just constantly thinking about it, but I really didn't do anything about it until I had a friend really push me. And it wasn't necessarily a welcome push. I think it was more like I was dating somebody who was on the road a lot because he was in a band, and he kept saying to me, well, you have all this time while I'm gone. Why don't you pick up a guitar or do something? Because I wrote a lot of poetry. I would sing melodies all the time just for my own pleasure, really, not for any other reason. But he kind of started that ball rolling, and I got a guitar, and I got a synthesizer and like an old tape echo and some cool things, and I just sat in my kitchen and had an 8-track, and I figured, okay, why don't I just try something? And it was probably then, I mean, it took me years after that to actually realize that I was going to do it, and on some level always, no matter what, but it was really just meant to be a hobby for me. I never thought that I would put out this record. I didn't. I wanted to. I just didn't really know the avenues to get to a place like that, and to make it what I had envisioned it being. It seemed just really far away, I guess. And, it's not, obviously. It's happening, which is wonderful. But that, I mean, being a creative person and trying to support yourself and make a living, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
So you get so tied up doing all of the other things that sometimes you're left with nothing, because you don't even have the energy anymore to pursue, the things that you'd like to. So I think it's a really delicate dance for a lot of people, between, like, I know I want to do this, and, well, I know I want to do it, but it's probably impossible because life is that way, right?
Right.
So, yeah. So I think there wasn't a magical moment necessarily, but I think when I started playing by myself, I kept it as a closet hobby for many years, and some of these songs, when people started hearing little demos and I would share them with people, and I got, quite a reaction, I started thinking, okay, maybe this is something. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm not just, screwing around here. Maybe people do need to hear this. And, now they will, I suppose. Right? Yeah.
Well, and then that's always one of the hardest things is not only finding the motivation, but also just how do I get my foot in the door,
Yeah, it's because it's a door that is just feels like it's locked.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not in some special circles, or you don't know the right people, or you just even haven't met any creative partner that you could work with or fantasize about working things out with, mm-hmm. just any of that, it's luck, and it's difficult to do that. So,
I was going to say, on top of that, there's the business side as well.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, I mean, so much goes into every part of this. Things that I am not very good at and don't really, to be honest with you, want to be very good at. So, yeah, it takes, like, an entire village, mm-hmm. or, a whole team to just make one thing happen. It's hard. But I wouldn't trade it,
Yeah.
Definitely better than sitting in an office or doing something that I definitely wouldn't be cut out for.
Yeah.
Nothing those kinds of jobs at all. It's just I think I would fail miserably.
No, I hear you. There's these moments where I'm just like, what would it be like just to work in a cubicle and just have my own space and just see what it's like? And there are other moments where, man, I wish there was moments where I could just work outside, be a lumberjack and be all buff. Like how that sounds like the life.
Yeah. Departure from what you got now, right? Both of those things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so what is your what is your music process like now, and how has it changed from, just getting started to today?
Well, it's probably remained pretty similar. I mean, I graduated from an 8-track and discs and things like that, which don't even exist anymore.
What is this disc? I'm young and hip.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy that, that is what I learned on. So I was, an 8-track was my way of recording everything that I had, and like screwing up was a big deal because then I had to go back and use more space, and those things were pretty unreliable, and I would have to like go and crouch down on the floor at Office Depots and see if I could find any more of the discs because nobody was selling them anymore. It was great. But then eventually, I got a computer, and I realized that if I was going to keep doing anything, that I had to learn how to use it. And I still don't know very many things. I only just know enough to get myself from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. Enough to like figure out, okay, this is how you're supposed to do this. I write alone mostly, mm-hmm. and that really hasn't changed too much. Now usually when I have like a good start on something, I will send it to Thomas and Cedric and see what their immediate reaction is, and then go from there. Because a lot of times things remain fairly similar to the way that I had them originally, and then Thomas and Cedric will put in better bass lines and better guitar than I could ever play. And but my soundscape is usually pretty similar, and we just kind of add things and give it more texture and So we do all of that after usually I have something. And now we're experimenting with having all of us kind of contribute and write bits and pieces of things and see what happens. And that's not going to stop me from my original process, but it might open things up a little bit more for them to step in more musically, and so it's not just me all the time. And we'll see how that works. We've got like one song on the record right now that Thomas wrote the bed of music, and I just ended up writing melody and lyrics, and that's really the only one that we collaborated on like that, where we wrote it a little bit differently than everything else. So, I'm always into changing and to challenging myself, because it's not very comfortable for me to write with people, because usually it's pretty emotional experience, and sometimes I don't even know what's going on until I've got half of something written, and I realize like, well, this is pretty much about whatever I'm going through. So it's hard to explain that, and usually I don't have to after I just give them a song. They kind of instinctively go, oh, okay. So that's okay, great, perfect. Then we get the feeling, we don't have to talk about it, cool. But it'll change, and we'll see what happens. I'm not really sure what the future holds that way, but I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah. All you can really do is just focus on the now and prepare for the future. So. Yeah,
exactly.
But with your new album, since it's your debut album, was there something that you particularly wanted to conquer for yourself, or maybe anything really?
Getting this to the point where it was made was probably like Mount Everest for me, because I didn't understand. I've never done it before. So once we had all of these songs and we were kind of getting out there a little bit, and I wanted to record them in the right way, and I wouldn't have been able to do that without the people around me. That was the biggest challenge, is just figuring out how do we do this, and how do I keep it true to myself, because I had started, we put out a couple singles, and I loved them, but we did it differently, where we kind of had somebody help us who was local, and he's wonderful. But he collaborated with another person and kind of helped bring these songs to life. And I learned through that process that I needed to have my hands much more involved in the whole thing. And I needed also to get out of here in order to have the headspace to accomplish that.
Right. So
that's what I did, and that was a hard decision, because everybody thought, well, you guys have so much access to things here. There's great people, and you had already done these 2 singles, and why don't you finish the record here, or do the record here, or whatever? And I just could not do it. And that was hard for everybody, because everybody had to take time out of their schedules, and we had to, travel to Birmingham, Alabama, like 2 times for a week at a time, and then me a third time to spend a week down there by myself just mixing. And it was hard, and that was my challenge, was just being able to accomplish all of that, find the space and the energy to do it with the right people, and still have it sound like me. Sound like what felt true to what I needed to hear from this record. So I think we accomplished that, definitely.
I'm
but not an easy.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I just said not an easy road ever. You know?
Oh yeah. I'm a huge component of getting out of the norm, and I don't know. I feel like it opens up your mind creatively when you're just in a different place. When I was visiting my friend in Madison, my whole goal was to see him, of course, but also I said, okay, I'm here for like 4 or 5 days. I'm gonna see how many scripts I can pump out. And it was great. I walked in the snow and then I wrote scripts.
Yeah, see, it's refreshing when you can do that. When you can just kind of get out of your head a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's not very many things to distract you. A lot of this record I actually wrote. Probably about half of it, wrote on planes, like came up with sketch ideas while I was flying or in hotel rooms because I was working and my job would take me here or there. A lot of times I was in North Carolina and I would pack a little synth or a guitar and my computer and an interface and whatever, and a mic and whatever else I could fit in my suitcase. And would go away and would come back with, you know, probably a solid song. And I think most of those actually made it onto the record. Mm-hmm. So that, for me, like that alone time sometimes is the biggest gift, you know, just to be able to create and have be self-aware, but someplace else.
Right.
You know? Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. And so for the people at home who want to listen to the album, follow you online or catch a show, where can they do all that?
Well, we are, of course, you know, visible on the social medias of the world, the Instagram and Facebook and all of that stuff. We can be found there. We also have a website. Our label is Communicating Vessels. They're a small label out of Birmingham, Alabama. The record will come out through them. It'll be available on Apple Music, Spotify, the normal channels, like that stuff. And, I think as far as live stuff goes, we are, there will be probably some dates that we have coming summer and fall. Not sure where or how or when yet, but we did finally just get an agency on board to help us with that. So we will hopefully be getting out there soon, which would be great.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's good. It's exciting for us.
There you go. There you go. Gina, thank you so much for chatting with me. I listened to the album and I enjoyed it, and whatever you're doing, it's working. So keep plugging away.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
No problem. And anytime you want to come back, just say the word. But I'll let you go on and enjoy a gloomy day, I guess.
Gloomy day.
Yeah. There you go. But stay warm and have a good day.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.